Hi, and welcome to Game Changer. My name is Daniel Connor. I'm the owner of Connor's Coaching, and businesses hire us to ignite the passions of their employees and transform their workplace into one that is productive and has a reduced turnover. So, today we're going to be talking all about human motivation in the workplace because one of the things that Connor's Coaching offers is an improved workplace engagement package for our business employers, our consulting customers. So, I want to start with a story about why this is so important and why this is so personal to me. So this kind of goes back to the stories that I was telling last episode 2 weeks ago. And I first of all, I just want to apologize that we didn't have an episode last Wednesday. My guest had COVID and she was unable to join us. And this is a live show, so we don't have pre-recorded information. My goal is that you get to see what you're going to buy if you're interested in hiring me as a coach. So I don't want to put on bells and whistles. I don't want to put on a polished mask because fit is so important, and who you hire as a coach and as a business consultant, especially with regards to improving your workplace environment, is so important. And you want good fit. You want someone who's not just reading off of a script. I have an outline of the things I want to talk about because I think out loud, and this is the best way to keep me on track. But I don't have a script, and so you are getting the real me today. Um, and I would love to have you engage with us in the chat room. So in order to do that, you just have to be logged into YouTube, usually on a PC, or I'm not 100% sure how chatting works in the um, mobile phone editions of YouTube, but definitely if you're on a PC, you should be able to see a chat room there. It is set to subscriber only, so I do ask that you subscribe to the channel. And that's just an awesome thing to do. So would really appreciate it if you did that. So today, again, we're talking about human motivation, and I am going to start with a personal story. So 11 years ago, um, gosh, I'm going to have to stop saying 11 years because it's actually been a little bit more than that. 12 years, 12 years ago right now. Um, I was employed in a government role, and it was just a kind of a baseline worker, but I had a lot of potential. And my manager and I were kind of at odds, and there was a lot of toxic behavior going on around, my team lead lying about statistics for the team to make herself look better. And the manager just totally bought that hook, line, and sinker. And so there was a real toxic environment. And then in addition to that, I was also in a pretty bad place. Financially, I was not in a great emotional state. I didn't love myself. I didn't take care of myself. And all of that started to change pretty dramatically all at once. And my workplace was very fortunate that I was one of the few workers who self motivates. Not every worker is capable of self motivating or has the tools to self motivate, but no one wants to be miserable at work. No one wants to be unproductive and to be at odds with their manager and have that kind of conflict. So I was in this dead end career. I had no training opportunities. I had no leadership opportunities. In fact, at one point, a lead position came available, and my manager specifically told me not to apply for it and then yelled at me for not applying for it later, thinking that I was undermining her authority because her personal pick thought I would have been a better choice. And so we're going to talk today about human motivation and how to turn those kinds of situations around, how to take those toxic employees and move them into the place where they're productive leaders in your organization. This is really geared more towards businesses, specifically small businesses, and teams of up to 50 people. Although we do work with larger employers. But I'd have to work on the pricing for that. So by all means, reach out to me if that's something that you're interested in. So what could improved motivation get you? What can an improved workplace engagement rate get you? Well, studies show that workplace engagement is one of the top factors for employee productivity. Up to 30% wasted potential is seen in businesses with low engagement among their employees, and that's 30% profit. In addition to that, there are studies that show that 80% of employee turnover is related to dissatisfaction in the workplace. A toxic culture, bad leadership, um, a lack of opportunity in motivation. So, working on your employee engagement can improve by 80% your employee turnover. And I don't know if you knew how expensive it is to have an employee leave, but it's approximately about 2 years of salary for most positions, depending on if they're knowledge workers or if they're factory workers or what kind of position it is. So that is an epic amount of money that's being wasted by businesses today. And who can afford to lose more people? We're going to look at Maslow's pyramid or hierarchy of motivation first. So his motivation really comes down like there's like 9 steps, and it's a very heady paper. I have read it, but I want to break it down into just really 3 concepts, and that is the 3 stages of motivation. The first stage is all about safety. For Maslow, that was food, shelter, and air, and food, shelter, and air, basically. The things you need to survive immediately. And if you don't have those are going to be the priority. So with each of these stages in Maslow's principles, if you have it, it's not the motivating factor for you. If you have food, food isn't your motivator. If you have safety, if you have shelter, shelter isn't your motivator. But if you don't have those things, those have to be taken care of before anything else matters. You don't care about self-actualization. You don't care about attaboys and good jobs if you can barely make ends meet. With human motivation, when we're applying it, that really comes down to compensation, because right now, housing, food, all of these expenses, your debts, being able to afford a car to drive to work, those all come down to money. So your compensation package should really address the foundational needs of your employees. If you can't do that, then you're not going to be able to drive them to higher forms of motivation. So the first step when we work with businesses is to go in and look at their compensation package and make sure that there's basic health coverage, that there are fair market values. In fact, most compensation packages today, if you work for a big business, there'll be a compensation manager, and that compensation manager does compensation analysis, which is a fancy word of taking the titles and the job responsibilities attached to those titles and comparing them on salary sites like salary.com for similar jobs around the country, and then kind of baselining the amount of money that that position earns. But there's a lot of leeway there for businesses, and there are some, unfortunately, maybe unethical practices with regards to market compensation, where you take and you adjust the title but you keep the job description of a different title, and you use the lower value of the title to justify a lower compensation package. There is a LinkedIn influencer named Dan Price who kind of broke through this, and he started offering a base salary of 70,000 to every employee regardless of their job description. And really, where businesses get compensation wrong is that they really focus on the job title and how they can offer the least amount of money possible for any position based off of the job title rather than based off of the working responsibilities or the cost of living in the area. So with compensation analysis, we're really talking about that base level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs to make sure that the basic needs of your employees are met so that they can worry about some other area of your company. The next area of Maslow's pyramid, or his structure, his hierarchy of needs, is the safety zone. These are feelings of emotional safety and feelings of physical safety. These are under being able to trust that you're not going to be attacked, being able to trust the behaviors of the people that you surround yourself with. And so this is where leadership comes in when we're talking about how to engage and how to motivate your employees. If you have good leaders, they inherently create safety for the emotional security of the employees that work for you. And so, with the third part of our process when we're working with employers on a workplace engagement, we look at their leadership style. We look at how the leaders interact with employees. We look at how the employees interact with each other and how discipline is related to those. So if there is, toxic behavior, sniping behavior between two different employees, we look at that to make sure that it's being addressed and that every employee there can trust that their workplace is a safe place to be. So with just like where the base level, the caveman level of needing food, shelter, and clothing is all about your compensation package. The second is all about the culture and the relevant toxicity of that culture with regards to your employees. How safe do they feel sharing emotions? How safe do they feel talking about their family life at work? And that may seem like unprofessional behavior, but that judgment comes out of the 1980s. That judgment comes out of this idea that we aren't actually human beings working in an office place. Every single human being on this planet has emotions, has emotional needs, and has a need for those emotions to be safe. And if you're not addressing that, you're failing them in that very crucial second layer of the pyramid. The third level of the pyramid is really where the trick is with businesses today, because most businesses get those first two relatively reasonably close. Most people don't feel like they're going to be violently attacked at work. And if they do, they don't stay there. And that business doesn't survive, hopefully. But with regards to the third area, Maslow calls this the self-actualization or self-realization. This is all about personal power. This is all about that feeling of being able to influence the world around you. And this is workplace engagement. This is your training opportunities. This is your um, your ability to connect and to draw a line directly between what you do and the core value of the business, the mission of the business. This is mastery, and there are multiple popular books right now written about this topic specifically. Simon Sinek's Start with Why. There's a huge TED Talk. Actually, his TED Talk is way better than his book. Sorry, Simon. If you ever see this, I doubt you will. But your book is a little bit difficult to read, whereas your TED Talk was very engaging and got your point across much better, in my opinion. So when you're looking at this, Simon Sinek's Why is one example. I really like the model of Daniel Pink. He talks about motivation 2.0, and his motivation really focuses on this area, and he kind of breaks it down into um, again, he talks about the compensation of people. He talks about the leadership and the need for emotional safety. He talks about values, and he talks about purpose, and he talks about drive. That's his book. Daniel Pink's Drive is a great book about human motivation. Very influential for the work that we do. And when you're looking at it through those lenses, we start with value. We start with core values, and we're not talking about like the price tag associated with the work that you're doing. We're talking specifically about the core values that ignite the passions and purpose of your employees. What drives them to work? And I can tell you that's where 12 years ago, um, I I was not being engaged. And I had to find that for myself. And that is an unfortunate thing for your employees to have to do. If they have to find that engagement for themselves, they're not going to be able to do that 9 times out of 10. It happened to have fallen down at 12 years ago to my manager getting a temporary illness and having to go away, and a new manager stepping in and having a new vision for the team that included me trying on a new role. And it happened to be my passion. It happened to have ignited passions in me for neuroscience, for training and development, for workplace um, streamlining and efficiency of processes. Those are all things that are my passions and my skills. And I wouldn't have had that opportunity had things not changed miraculously. But a miracle like that doesn't have to wait for serendipity. It can actually be created by workplaces working hard on creating core values that speak to their employees. What drives your employees? What do they care about? Do they love puppies? Do they care about volunteership? Do they believe in the mission of your business? Are you a homeless shelter that helps serve the homeless community? When you've gotten those other two levels of the pyramid taken care of, and it really doesn't take a lot of effort to do that, this third area of the pyramid becomes a joy to work on because you see dramatic impacts when you look at it. And that's really what Simon Sinek's work, Start With Why, is all about. He talks about how when you think about certain businesses like Apple, he uses the example of Apple a lot, you think of quality rather than you think of their product. You think, I'm going to buy this iPhone because this iPhone happens to be the best technology available out there and I'm not going to have to replace it very often. Ironically, you do. Um, but maybe not as often as their competitors when they first came out. And that belief in that process, that belief in that product creates engagement for their customers. Well, that belief in the product also creates valuable engagement in your employees. If your employees believe in the mission, believe in the value behind the mission, that engagement, that self actualization is built in. So most workplaces have core value statements, and they're created by HR leaders, HR executives, specifically to impress the board members and specifically to impress those investors. They're not designed for the employee. And that is a missed opportunity. If you design your core values for your employees become the value of your organization. And they drive that organization to greater profits. I believe firmly that small businesses cannot afford to let those core values go un, unrecognized, unpromoted, and disused. They cannot afford to let them become dusty plaques on the shelf or a plaque in the boardroom that they point to and say, yeah, we have core values. Core values have to live in the hearts of your employees. They have to mean something to your employee. Being a socially just organization is important to a lot of the generations. There is a group, and I don't remember the name of the employers, the group that did this, but they wrote a book called Crucial Conversations. I watched several of their presentations, and one of the things that they identified was a huge change in the core values of workplaces based on generation. So if you have older generations of employees, those older values tend to work better for them. And if you have younger generations of employees, they care more about social justice, they care more about social welfare, they care more about how the business reacts to the greater environment of the world around them. And if you can speak to that, then you have a way of engaging those younger workers in a way that your competitors don't. So when we work with businesses around this, we go in, we make sure that those core values exist, and if they don't, we create them. And there's no shame in that because a lot of businesses start out as mom and pop shops or solo entrepreneurships, and they end up having to hire more people. And they don't have the skill set designed for that kind of leadership. That's really where we specialize. We really work well with those small mom and pop shops to get them off the ground and get them organized in regards to their people strategy. When we finish dusting off those core values, then it's all about rollouts, and that's where the magic of coaching comes in. I'm a coach. I'm a certified professional coach. I'm a personal coach as well. In my last video, I really talked a lot about that. But um, specifically for businesses, if you can coach around those core values and you can identify how they speak and how they resonate with the employee specifically on a one-on-one basis where it is safe and they feel like they have autonomy in that conversation. That autonomy is choice, and it's one of Daniel Pink's outlines of one of the things that impacts self-actualization. That that conversation is magical because it can transform that worker from someone who is just barely surviving in a toxic workplace to someone who really finds meaning and has no problem showing up to work because their work matters. That worker is going to be 30% more productive than a disengaged version of them. That worker is going to be 80% less likely to move on to a competitor. And that worker is going to champion your business and create engagement with your customers as well. You cannot afford as a business today to let your employees' engagement slide and become dusty on the shelf. You can't afford to lose those core values. So, for businesses who have watched this presentation and who feel like this resonates with them, I want to invite you to contact me. Um, our plans are very reasonable. There's no one else who's really doing the work that we're doing specifically around this issue in the way that we're doing it because they're not personal certified coaches. They're not going out there and coaching individually one-on-one the employees around these goals. And that's one of the reasons why I prefer to work with small businesses, because it's not something that you can offer to a larger organization, although it is something that we can work around. And I do group coaching as well, so we can support larger teams. If you're interested, I'm going to offer the first 5 businesses who sign up a 25% discount on my engagement process, on my engagement package. And I can't give you an actual monetary value because I price according to how many employees are in the business. So we will lay that all out. The first call is free just to make sure that we still are a good fit. This video here is specifically designed to cue up your interest and to show exactly what it is that I'm talking about and what the process is going to look like so you know what to expect. I'm Daniel Connor. I'm the owner of Connor's Coaching. I really believe everything that I said today, and I really hope that you reach out to me and help me ignite your business and your engagement of your employees. So until next week. Oh, and by the way, teaser episode, if you are here for other types of content, Game Changer focuses on business to business services like the one that we talked about today. It focuses on positivity. It focuses on practical applied neuroscience, which means basically how to live happier in your life and live more purposefully in your life in a practical way, not too complicated. And it also focuses on coaching. So we have guests every other episode. My last episode, my guest had COVID, couldn't make it. My next guest is all about handling change and handling loss, and I hope you tune in for that. I really can't wait. And oh my goodness, we have a chat from Leslie vouching for Daniel's coaching. Oh my gosh, she's one of my clients, and I really appreciate her. Thank you so much for being here, Leslie, and for watching the show. That was wonderful. We are going to sign off. We are do 30-minute shows for the most part, unless I have a guest on that wants to demonstrate a longer process. And I will be here on Wednesday next week with my new guest, and we will be talking about change. So I will see you then. Thank you so much for being here, for being part of the stream. Please do leave me a like. Please do subscribe to the content. And if you could add a comment to the comment section of this video, it would be really appreciated. That really helps me grow on YouTube and reach more people. Thank you so much, and I will see you. Bye. I think I just paused for a second.